the takeaways as well too, as a lot of you business owners that are listening know, that they've got to have something that, that reminds them of you guys when they go back to their work, to their home or whatever. But that's another way for us to show value in caring about kids. Your first question was like, what makes us different and why are we in this space too? Because we really do want to make a difference.
Today, we're talking about things that gym owners don't want you to know. It's a patented process, how to differentiate yourself from competition to create the most fun and enjoyable athlete training experience possible. Welcome to Top Rated Gym Podcast, the go-to show for fitness entrepreneurs, franchise owners, and gym operators who want to build and scale and dominate in the fitness industry. Today we got an absolute powerhouse in the fitness franchise world joining us, Brad Hinkle, VP of New Franchise Onboarding and Redline Athletics. With over a decade of leadership in operations and management, Brad has mastered the art of franchise growth, program development, process optimization. He's not just a strategist, he is a builder, scaling a fitness franchise company to over 12 million in annual revenue. His expertise in multi-site franchise development and business operation makes him one of the sharpest minds in the game. Today, we're diving deep into what really takes to create successful onboarding experience, scale a fitness business, and create lasting impact in the industry. Buckle up. This is going to be a game changer. Brad Hinkle, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I think I needed a little Ted Nugent stranglehold in the background for my intro call. So I feel like I'm coming out of the bullpen. I appreciate that intro.
Listen, it's all true, buddy. So, Brad, last time we had a conversation. Oh my God, it was such inspiring. It's such a refreshing. It's a breath of fresh air in the industry. Our industry is changing rapidly, and you guys are on the front side of that. I want to understand, why did you guys really design your process about fun and engaging and experience instead of just focusing on SOPs, processes, conversion leads, and many other. I want to know what's driving this, what's behind it.
Man, the heart of it, honestly, is serving kids. To be real blunt, I mean, that's the people that we look for in staff members, the environment we want to create, the music we play, the way we build the facility. We know that the best workout for a young athlete is one they enjoy and one they're going to apply themselves wholeheartedly to. And it's a little different environment than what older high school, college, professional athletes may be into. They know that a workout's going to suck, but they have a job to do, right? And these young kids don't have a job to do. They want to love what they're doing. So a phrase we use a ton is we want them to enjoy improvement. So step one is creating that environment that they actually enjoy. We know their name. We call it out when they come in the door. They're smiling when they come in. But the second piece we don't want to miss. We want them to get better. So we're going to measure and make sure we train them. Let's not miss that. But it's got to be an environment where those kids are going to apply themselves really well. That needs to be something that they are dragging mom and dad to Redline for, not vice versa. So that's really our priority.
Because there's a kind of opposite side of it, right? There's a discipline that you want people to comply with the program and the structure and the agenda and the curriculum and everything that you have in place. And there's also a fun part of it that sometimes is opposed, like when you play music, things goes off the trail. And then how do you balance it? How do you make it fun so people really have this flexibility of enjoying themselves, but also follow the structure? Because it's both important, right? Like motivation and a performance.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that with over 12 years in April, 12 years of franchising Redline, but even more than that, 17 years of history as a brand, it's taken time to really evolve, right? So there's been sessions where you could probably see where kids had a blast, but can you really measure improvement? Maybe not as much. And maybe sessions where, technically speaking, from people with degrees in the space, that was really well designed and really well put together, but if the application wasn't there, then the result wasn't going to be what we wanted to. So it's really the testing structure, using technology as much as possible, laser gates and jump mats and things that we can test athletes in their output. They love to see competition and leaderboards. I'm the middle of 3 boys growing up. I played college basketball with my older brother. I didn't care how I did. I cared that I did better than he did. And so there's some assessment that helps with that engagement. But also we use a phrase gamification a lot. So can we take an incredible speed and agility drill and then add in an element of competition with another kid who may be faster, maybe a little bit older, may play a different sport, maybe a little more advanced or behind, and now we start getting more out of a kid because they're either chasing somebody or they're being chased, and now they start applying more. So it's all in that environment that we create with the tools we use, and it's not really reinventing the wheel from a programming standpoint, but it is focusing on the environment. You touched on one piece, just the need for programming. And so we built the foundational programming structure for every location and every director around the nation, but then we give them the ability to call audibles, if you will. They can yell Omaha and tweak an exercise because maybe that the kid that came in with a sprained ankle from the weekend on a volleyball tournament needs something a little different, or maybe the environment for these kids is they're a little squirrelier than normal and I got to switch something around. So we want to make sure they have the recipe to follow, but then they can make some audibles on their own in any location to make sure it fits the environment that they're in and what they're trying to get out of the kids.
Whoa, so when I'm trying to think that from my own perspective, I remember when I go on a treadmill and do a long run, I listen to the music. And my headphones have a battery life. And if I don't charge them, they die. So somewhere around 45 minutes, I'm running speed 7 on a treadmill and having my heart rate like maybe 140. My headphones died. Music disappeared. Immediately, my heart rate started rising up. The treadmill feels harder. And I'm starting to like breathe faster. Nothing changed in the resistance, just music was gone. So what you guys are doing, you figured out that in order to make peak performance, it's the same body, same chemistry, same everything. It's just a lack of music made me run so much harder. So there's the two components in motivation. There's internal motivation and there's external motivation. It seems like you guys figured out formula to drive both. External by having music, community, friendliness, high five, name, smile, excitement. But also internal, oh, I see this scorecard. I see these numbers. I see my progress. I want more. It's not that the environment is pushing me, that's externally, but also internally, giving them something to chase after.
Yeah.
And I believe when you combine that with accountability, with coaching, with internal drive, and then you get a talent, you get a champions.
Absolutely. And that's very important. You're exactly right. And that environment, not just from the music standpoint, but how the workout is structured, the pauses that are intentionally built in to call kids out in a healthy way. And we've got one more kind of motivating factor, and something that really is big in the youth space, but it's hard to really deliver and make an emphasis on, and that's a character development program. So we talked about this a little bit in our last conversation, but we actually developed what we call baller bands. I've got one right here for an effort band, right? So if a kid actually shows a character trait, one of the 10 traits that we have identified, we have different colors in 10 different bands. If they show a character trait that has nothing to do with how high you can jump, how fast you can run, how hard you can throw a ball, everything to do with, did I show compassion to somebody else? Did I show integrity when we were running our line drills? I didn't touch the line, I went back and touched it. Did I show leadership when a kid with a courage band on their first day looked a little lost and confused, and I as an athlete grabbed them and helped them out? Then we can pause in that workout to highlight them, give them a round of applause, give them a band, and then send a message to mom and dad about what that band represents and what they did. That, as a dad of 3 athletes, 10 and below, like that's probably the more important thing that I want my kids to learn, because I know they're going to be able to jump higher and run faster. But if they're showing character development traits in a measurable kind of way to make a moment out of it, that makes a difference. And we have kids that are mad that they haven't earned certain bands to this point where they want to have all of them on their wrist, right? So it's making that environment isn't just external in the sense of things you can hear and see, but like that intrinsic piece of it too is, I would like to earn something, and I need to show extra effort or show extra integrity or compassion or teamwork or different things to be able to earn that. And that's a big why behind our what. I know I heard in one of your other guests talking about the why behind the what, and that resonated with me too, because that's what you're going to get results from. And again, we're going to have a successful business because we focused on that element, not because we have the right SOPs and we're hitting the right lead volume and conversion rates and stuff too, which is still important, and we do make sure that we focus on them, but that doesn't matter if the kids are not getting the difference they need in the facility.
Brad, let's think about it from the kid's perspective. First of all, kid comes in, first time, have no clue about bands and rewards and character development program. He see other kid, get a band, tap of the shoulder, leader of the class, pull their name in front of everybody. Now that kid learned that kid name is like, okay, that's cool.
Well, the kid who walked in today got a band too. He got a bright green band that said Courage. So he gets introduced to it by our front desk staff before they step out there. And that's when you see mom and dad start to go, oh, okay. It's not something we promote a ton. It's a lot of internal work too. But to your point, now the other kids see them with the band, and the kids also, the new athlete is a little apprehensive and nervous. I've always said to Redlines, we've opened, like you said, we've got over 4 dozen around the nation. I've been to almost all of them to help them open up. And I can tell when a kid is new, because they walk in with that little look on their eye, like are they just going to blast Metallica and throw weights around the weight? Like what kind of workout facility is this? Or I'm really worried and nervous. And so to help them feel comfortable, knowing that they're not just valued here, but they're welcome, and acknowledging the fact that they're taking courage, showing courage to try something new. And then we celebrate that with a band right away. And then the other kids see they have a band. So you're exactly right. That environment starts to foster more togetherness, more effort from the kids' side. Yeah. So the nervousness and the anxiety that kids tend to show starts to go away a little quicker. And that's, again, what parents want to see and what really kids need to show.
Whoa. And then kid goes home, and it's a reminder for parents. Then, because everybody's making decisions, should they go back or not? Is this something that I made the right decision or not? Then the kids goes to school and they brag about it. It's another conversation starter. Then parents goes to their co-working experience. They're like, oh, my kid got this, or this is cool. Maybe parents have kids that are not physically fully ready, but they have this reward for this character development. That's today everything we're doing is to develop character. But if you recognize that, what gets rewarded gets promoted, right? We are wired as a kid from the early age. What we get rewarded, we do more of that, and it's dopamine addiction that we created. We are raised by that. It's our chemistry, and now you're enforcing it. It's how Marine sniper shooters are freaking trained as well. The toughest in the industry. They give them a target on a 3 feet far, and they score it and they celebrate. And then 100 feet, and then 1,000 feet, and then further. But every time they celebrate, because that's what gives you happiness. So what you guys are doing is freaking incredible. But it's way more than just a little band that costs ordered in the bulk.
Well, and what's funny to us too is we'll joke with some of the kids going, "Can I take that effort band away today? Like, what are we doing? Come on!" So it's a little bit of accountability to make sure they continue that work and that effort, right? And that we have kids that earn the same band a couple times because they showed, consistency in that. So we have a summer camp program. We do an all-day camp from 8:30 to 2:30. We feed them lunch, and a part of our lunch we call leadership lunches. So through the 5 days of camp, we spend 20 minutes talking about 2 of those character traits. Send them home with a little sheet of paper just with a simple homework assignment. How can you demonstrate those traits and have them come back? So the takeaways as well too, as a lot of you business owners that are listening know, that they've got to have something that that reminds them of you guys when they go back to their work, to their home, or whatever. But that's another way for us to show value in caring about kids. Your first question was like, what makes us different, and why are we in this space too? Because we really do want to make a difference, and that's a very easy phrase to say, but it's hard to really measure. And especially in this kind of space too. So we know that if kids are growing in teamwork and in accountability and these other character traits that we all know and value, they're going to be better students in school. They're going to be better employed workers in the community, and be leaders as they should be.
And I want to talk about a couple other problems that what you just spoke about is solving. Parents is home, have to take kid to the classroom, and kid says, "No, I don't feel best. I want to stay home. I don't want to go, mommy. I want to play that game because my friends are on a Fortnite. I want to be there," right? So now, because they want entertainment versus something that's, I gotta do something. Like, now they're looking like, oh, this is entertainment. I'm going there to have fun. I'm going to do today to see how can I earn those bands. The mind shift from game to this at least makes it easier. There's a reward as a part of it. It's not I have to, I got to. And then parents' job is easier. They don't have to negotiate with the kids. They have opportunity to talk to kids about doing something cool, right? Rewarding, talking, and it's like contagious. While many companies are talking about great leadership, great management, maybe great trainers, you guys are a reversed pyramid. You go from the great students that make easier job on a great trainers, easier job on a great parents, and it's all about structure that goes from who do you serve.
Well, it's that
upside down.
culture word that's so kind of cliche now, but important. And I listened to your interview with Chaz earlier, talking a lot about
Whack
culture and
moment.
the whack, right? Like whack moments and stuff too.
Catch
And
me when you're doing
we had
something
done
great.
some of that. So shout out to you, Chaz. Like that was a part of our staff meetings, and will be again as well soon. But that's a culture builder, I feel like, and with adults as we are now, it's can I be healthy? What's the scale say? How much can I, like, there's other motivators that we know as grown-ups we need to have. Is my body fat percentage in a healthy way? Is my cholesterol down? Like those pieces, and kids don't have that, right? We actually do have kids that come in because they're starting to head that direction and they don't need to, but that's not their intrinsic motivator, right? The motivator for them is, it's a little bit of momentary stuff. How do we celebrate something in the moment? Whether it's a PR board, we actually have a speed club that we take a picture of them and put it on the wall when they run over 12 miles an hour, 13 miles an hour, something where now there's competition, but it's a little bit more focused on how do we highlight what I can do now and where I've grown and gotten better as a kid. And let's not lose the fact that this is still a business and we need to be open to celebrate these kids too. So there's still that business element, and the parents are the ones paying for the kids. So really look at if you're listening as a parent too, what do you really want out of your athlete? Do you really want them to be the next Ronaldo on the soccer field, or do you want them to help a kid up when they fell and got hurt out there too, because that's going to transfer over later into life? We want a little bit of both, right? But we can celebrate that immediate showcase of character in the moment.
It's real service delivery. What you did is you have a product, many others do as well, but you created a packaging for the product that people look to keep on wrapping all the time. And we know both is important. You can't have a product without good packaging. Apple figured that out a long time ago. Like that experience of using the product, starting to use, first impression, right? It's super important. People keep the boxes of the iPhones and MacBooks literally in the closets just because they don't want to throw it. It's so good to be thrown out.
I got my first pair of Jordans in high school, and I remember the box that came in because it was different. It was like a metal-looking box. It was a suitcase. Like, Mom, I'm keeping this. This is sweet. So you're exactly right.
Exactly. And they did not have to invest money into that. But now you remember it decades later.
Yep.
It's all about how we present things and how people perceive it and what emotions are created through the process. Emotions is a key word here. How you make people feel. It's a key word, of the user experience, of the kids' experience. But there's so many tactics to it, and we'll talk about that, right? How do you choose the right songs, right? Because you can choose the song that everybody hates and then flops, right?
Or it's too slow, or it's too quiet, or
Where's the balance between the fun and the discipline, and so on. So
it's fun because, real quick, I've been in so many of them. There are two locations that popped out. One was a struggling location that I was helping support, and it was too quiet. The music got turned down so the coaches could coach. No. And I thought it was interesting. And then I was in another one that I called Club Redline. Like, it was so loud and so upbeat. It was like, oh, we're going to get headaches working out. So there is a balance and there is a intentionality behind that. It's a good point, Andre, and you want to make sure that if you're listening, and the music needs to fit your environment, right? And you need to have some control over it. We're not just handing that aux cord to anybody who wants to play some song. There needs to be intentionality behind it and why it's there and what environment we're trying to create. And that's the back end of it. You commented, like, when the music turns off, that's I'll be up front. If the music turns off, my head's popping out going, hey, what? Hold on. What? Get it back up again, too. Like, it's very noticeable when it's not there. And it becomes part of your space when it is there. So make sure that there's intentionality behind what you're playing and why. And that's a part of the sales process that we talk to mom and dad about, that they can be comfortable their kid is not listening to music that they shouldn't be listening to. I don't want a kid singing a song in a car because they heard it at Redline that a parent doesn't approve. And, we here are in the youth performance space. Our average member is around 12 years old. So there's some music they enjoy, but also music that they shouldn't be listening to. And we've got to kind of curate some of that. Yes.
Yeah, you don't want a trainer in that facility to choose their favorite playlist on Spotify, because it can be most of the time would be wrong. They might be listening for rhythm, but not for the words. Guys probably curate the list from the level that is pre-approved or something like that makes sense for the kids in a certain industries and cities. Different cities, probably different playlists, but ages and so on. When it comes to starting, did you guys start like this? Is this like how first location started, or did you adopted this along the way?
It's a good question. We've evolved as a lot of businesses will. I mean, Redline started in 2006, and then I joined as an intern in 2007. Met them through the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and just kind of knew somebody who knew somebody, and I was getting my degree and didn't know this was an industry that could be a full-time job. So it was fun for me. And then I left to play pro baseball for 2 years, and then came back because I hated the baseball scene and what that took. I'm 6'10", and I called it I was a Great Dane on a Greyhound bus. Like what in the world? I don't fit on these things. I love the sport and the game, but I also came from a house of 2 middle school teachers who are retired now. Like I love kids, and so that was checking a lot of boxes in my personal growth, but also saw the opportunity around the nation for this, exactly what we're doing. There weren't a lot of opportunities for young athletes to go somewhere to train. A lot of the other facilities have an age limit on how old you have to be, at least 13, in order to even go there, right? And so really the genesis of Redline franchising, John Lee and SEO started Massage Envy, did The Joint. He's a serial entrepreneur and franchisor. His 2 kids were figure skaters training with us in California, and they loved training. And he laughed because he was like, that's not normal in the figure skating community for them to want to go work out. They spend so much time on the ice. They got everything going on. The last thing you want to do is go lift some weights or whatever too. And the fact that they enjoyed it was what opened his eyes. And so he sat down and partnered with us. And in 2013, we started franchising. And here we are to this date. So there's been an evolution over the years, as a lot of businesses will have, but the core why behind our what has never changed. And so the environment itself is very similar. We've enhanced, shout out to Chance, our CEO, came up with this baller band piece of character development. We've always talked about it, right? And the phrase was, we hire great staff members, and we have an environment where kids are getting poured into, and they're going to get benefits as a result to that, which is easy to say. But then, as we evolved, then we started putting some more tactile pieces into that to make it be shown a little bit more for kids. And like you said, that dopamine hit does help as well. So I'd say the environment has continued to grow, but the core structure has always been there, and a core focus has always been young athletes who are very impressionable, who are getting into or in the middle of puberty and like just starting to figure their bodies out and love sports. And how do we get them introduced to health and fitness and speed and agility and injury prevention as much as we can in an environment where they're going to love being, and they want to keep coming back even as they age up into high school and beyond.
And I'll tell you, it aligns so much with what I do. I used to be a DJ all the way back in high school, right?
What was your DJ name?
DJ Taz, like Tasmanian Devil, like the little character of the cartoonish. I have my little music production. I love playing the music, and I like mixing, and I like recording CDs and stuff like that back in the days, and then it becomes addiction. Honestly, music is becoming so good that everything I do, even today's meeting, when I have my investors and co-workers and partners on the call, when hundreds of people join the call on a Zoom meeting, starts with a music playlist. And it starts, and everybody's like, whoa, hold on, is this my computer playing? Like, where is this coming from? I just joined the Zoom and start playing on my computer. Because it's such a unique and not usual behavior that immediately gets you in a different state, right? Resets your expectations. And then I also love party making. My house is like a little party house. We host so many parties across the year, and the music is part of it. I am so aligned with what you guys are doing. I have probably every room in my house packed with the speakers, and it have to be good. I buy the car, it freaking is judged based on how good speakers the car has. So it's a part of what we do, and it's natural. It's many people love that. Everybody has their own favorite songs playlists. It's a mood shifter. And why not use it in an environment you can boost performance? Get people to perform at the highest level. If you go to one of the best conferences in the world, guy Tony Robbins, who runs it for like 40 years, his UPW lasts from 8 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the morning for 4 days. And it's packed jam with the music and playlist and loudspeakers, and turns into club environment. And nobody feels they're there for 14, 16 hours a day, but everybody feels like they're so pumped up. Because every little on show stops and music blasts off, and everybody jumps off. So what you guys are doing is absolutely peak of the peak performance of the world, and you're just starting from the young age. And I want to talk to you guys who are listening this, thinking about it, is like how can we make process enjoyable? Because you can call their name and say it once, cool, checklist done. But how can you do this as a background thing that really amplifies people's experience?
It's a big part, and not to miss the fact that we talked about this in our last conversation, that there's also the other side of it. There's a parent who has to get them here, and there's logistics involved in that. So the evolution of the brand, in my mind, was not so much the internal. We've had growth, like I said, in the culture side of things, but the bigger growth had been in how are we addressing our greatest competitor, which is the schedule of mom and dad, not the trainer down the street, not a trainer at school. It's can I even get my kid here from a schedule perspective, but also from a membership perspective. So that's been more of the genesis and growth of where we are now, and helping with the attrition side of things, and a ton of things that we started to put into place.
Love it. So it's all around. Let me talk about, just ask you a question. I am already sold. If I'm joining the franchise world, I would say, so damn, I liked what you guys are doing. But also, how hard is for you to really scale this, to keep it consistent across all locations, to keep all the locations compliant, to make sure that everybody does it in a way that you design it?
It's a great question, and we've spent a lot of time building that support structure. We actually operate in a regional developer model, something John's done with all his brands, where we know that we've got a support center here in Scottsdale, Arizona, that a lot of the information flows up to, and that we need to turn it back around as quickly as possible, so that someone in Maryland can learn from someone in California on things that are moving quickly, the do's and don'ts of everything. We don't know everything, but we know we've learned a lot through the years through a lot of our owners and staff members, and that helps a ton. But we know that boots on the ground are very important. So our regional developers are more local. They actually are invested in the success of our franchisees. They get a small percentage of royalties, so they're invested financially in the fact that those locations are successful, but now they can physically be in the locations. They run business excellence reviews as well too, to help report up and just help us keep eyes on things we can't see as well. We're not about to pull up cameras in every location and every time of the day to see how things are going. But at the same time, we need to train properly. We need to prepare them as well as possible to give them the tools they need to be successful from a programming standpoint, from the environment, that we talk about music, from the bands and everything else that's going in there. Then they need to apply it, right? So the boots on the ground are also very important around the country for really any business. If you're a business owner of one location, that's a piece I'd recommend, is get somebody else to come in who doesn't know you that well, who can assess it as a third party and tell you things that maybe you don't see as easily. We all get kind of blind to certain things in our own. I'm sitting inside of my own location, and we had a regional developer training in January, and they did a business excellence review on my business. Like, tell me what you see that I'm missing too, and that's great to see. So whether it's the environment itself, whether it's the actual facility, if there's things to be fixed, whether there's other nuances that need to be identified, the boots on the ground are definitely a big part of it, and as a franchise, we focus on making sure we support them.
It's a fresh pair of eyes that comes in and look at a situation. Sometimes you might see something that you forgot is there. Might be a squeaky door.
Sure.
Might be something that you don't even pay attention anymore. You got used to it, and it can be very annoying for the first-time person coming in, right? And we all have those moments that we can take somebody's, a little bit different angle and a new point of view. And I want to say that you have a very unique position. You are not only part of the corporate. You are location owner. So you do what you preach. You walk the talk. And from your own experience, you have a feedback from both sides. Not many brands have this privilege of having a leadership who owns the location, because there's usually like, you're telling me to do something, you're not doing it. You're on both sides.
Yep.
And how do you find that to benefit the brand or locations itself? Because you're kind of having two hats.
I think it's one of the words, so just the timeline real quick, similar to Chaz, who you talked to earlier. I grew up as an intern in Redline. I've covered kind of every position growing up through, and then had the ability to become an owner 2 years ago this month. So it's been fairly recent that I ended up being, a franchisee like others that I've supported for a long time. And the comment I got was like, well, now your voice seems different when you're talking to us now. And I laughed and said, well, it's always been the same, but you just hear it differently, because I'm experiencing the same thing. I'm paying my staff too. I'm dealing with holes in my walls, and I'm dealing with an upset parent or kids that love it, whatever is going on too. So that's helped me with a little bit of empathy and putting myself in their shoes, because I'm literally in their shoes every day doing things. So I think the reception of some of our support is helpful, but not just me, Our VP of operations, Rachel, is out in New Hampshire and she works remotely and she owns a location with her husband and is a regional developer. Our CEO and our president of development here too, they were owners here of the facility before I bought it as well too. I mean, a lot of the staff has either been in, the support staff for the nation has been either in Redline as an intern and a trainer, or own one or have owned one too. So we've got real world experience on what it really takes, and that helps us again with that empathy piece of, we understand the stresses of running a business. You can have a very successful business and still have stresses for sure, but then it's easier for us to understand what that is and how we can provide the support in a way that's going to be received well. We're not just sitting here saying, trust me, I think this will work. I'm saying, trust me, I'm doing it right now. And this is what works too. And I'm learning as well from others around the nation that helps my facility be successful too. I didn't leave the brand and go start my own with the knowledge I grew from 10 years. Like, I bought in and I pay royalties like everyone else too. And I'm glad to do so because I want to make sure I'm learning from the greater good of everybody.
So they said the best leaders are those who feel the pain of the people they lead. And by being the owner of location, no matter how successful you are, if you want to grow, if you want to stay at the highest level, you have a pain. Pain is unavoidable. Pain is a part of the progress. It's there to motivate us, to drive us, to solve the problem. Problems are opportunities to make things better. You can be the best franchise in the world, you still have problems to solve, period. And that's a good thing because there's always something to improve. But when you understand and feel, and this is for you franchisors, for you executives, for you over there who are thinking like, yeah, theoretically we know what you're doing. You don't until you really put your hands on. Right? It's a different in practice, different in theory.
Until a trainer doesn't show up for their shift, or until somebody has a complaint against you. Yeah, exactly right. And it's funny because early on, I was in my late 20s at the time. We started Redline, and John, as the master of franchising, told me, we're going to spend 2 years to build this company, and then we're going to start over. And I was like, that sounds like a waste of time. What are you talking about? Why? That doesn't make sense. And so talking with him recently is like, we started over about 3 times. Like, you just don't know what you don't know. And so over the years, you're learning those things, and some of those you call them headaches a little bit sometimes, but things you don't really see are coming, but also the blessings of it too. What works well? What do coaches and athletic directors respond well to in terms of our support of their schools and communities and little leagues and different things? And what do parents respond to well? Our membership offering that we offer now, the Flex membership, was created out of learning from difficulties of people who terminated memberships. When they said in reviews, our NPS score for people who left was over 40. You like us, but you left? Like, that doesn't make sense. So we want to know why. And so the one answer they gave the most was the membership no longer fit their schedule. And that's a bigger deal for parents of kids than it is if we're just training adults who can just make it happen in the morning or whatever the schedule is. It stays pretty consistent. So, the evolution over the years, I feel like we have reinvented ourselves a few times for good reason. And now it makes sense what John, the wise sensei, said a long time ago is that, okay, now we can apply those learnings to better our current locations and also future ones.
So I always like to say 2 points here. One is problems are good as long as you don't repeat them.
The only bad mistakes are the ones you repeat. Yep.
It's like if you keep solving the same problems, there is a bigger problem in that equation. And then the second one, you figured out, and you said that, I just want to reiterate what you said. You don't compete with other competitors. You compete with the biggest competitor, and it's time. Parents' time to decide, do I have to work, errands, chores, or my kid? What's priority? And if that particular schedule is competing with that particular other schedule, right, you lose. Because might be something else important. They know kids is important, but hey, we don't know what's happening in their life. So that flex time decision, it wasn't probably easy implementation, rollout, and decision and processes, how that impacted flexibility or retention and can you share a little bit about implementation and outcome you guys get from that?
Yeah, it's 2 sides. One thing that Redline really started with from the beginning was an on-the-hour, every-hour class time approach. So a lot of people in the youth development space are typically, you may be listening to this as one of these people, typically a very good trainer who opens a facility and they want to train all ages. Then they have to make age-specific classes to be able to hit every age. Well, then if your daughter is, on a volleyball team and she practices Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at 5:30, and the class for her age is from 5 to 6, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, like, you just can't do it, right? So number one, we had to be accessible and available. So our class is starting on the hour, every hour. You just make an appointment in the app. There's 24 available sessions every week for us. Then we split them up into a little bit more of a subgroup, right? So then some more upper level kids we call zone 2 or 3 will go with one trainer. Zone 1 goes with another, no more than 10 kids per coach. So there's some standards inside of that, NSCA standards and standards that we've set too that we want to adhere to for quality, but the availability has to be there. And that's always been the case. But the second piece that we've added recently, you touched on the schedule component, and I talked about terminations. We started looking at going, well, why do we have to offer the same membership that everyone else has and we always have for a long time? So we spent time building what we call a flex membership. And that flex membership lives in our app. It's patent pending as well because we know it's it's kind of a trendsetter. Think down the road too for other businesses want to do it. But the family themselves can now pay weekly and they can adjust their access and the price point associated every week. So every Monday morning is when the payment goes through. So it matches the weekly schedule. And if their kid's going to be in here twice for that week or more, they leave it alone. It's unlimited, right? Come many times they want to that week. That's a priority. Over half of our kids do that every week. But if they know they can only make it once, for my price point, you can save $23 that week by shifting it to the one time a week, and you just get charged a lower rate on Monday, and now you have one class to attend that week. And if you can't make it at all because they got sick, you've got a crazy schedule, you're out of town, you can't get your kids there, whatever, you can shift the 2 away and essentially suspend it for a low fee too. So it's not just a pay once at the beginning of the month and hope I make it enough to make it worth it at the end of the month type of situation. It's a weekly process that you can adjust your attendance and your price point on. So now we're checking boxes with mom and dad going, I can make it here more consistently because we know the more work they put in, the more they're going to get out of it. That's still true for kids. But at the same time, schedules are crazy. Right now, baseball is starting. So we keep getting texts. My baseball practice got changed to Monday, Wednesday. Can I adjust this thing or whatever? That's their life. But what they don't do is shut their membership off, right? Now they just change their access or change the day and time that they may be coming. So we need to be accessible and available, but we also need to make sure the price point is appropriate to a parent who's making the budget and the timing and everything else that goes along with the kids' training.
Oh, so you're not only eliminating factor of time competition, but also money, because there's a guilt. Like, I'm paying and I'm not using it. Let me cancel it. And maybe I'll reactivate it. But you're already thinking step ahead. I was like, okay, I know you're not paying it. Let me be fair. It's called fair usage model, right? Something Slack did it a long time ago, and I think their conversion is like biggest in the SaaS industry, like 28%. That's why they are billions of dollars valuation, because nobody ever canceled it. You go in, log in into your interface, boom, you are being paid for that month as a user.
It's easier to turn it back on, right? It's easier to go from away back up to unlimited than it is to call the facility and restart a membership, a new membership agreement or commitment or whatever. Right. So exactly right. And at the same time, we do spend good time educating parents, like, don't shift that sucker to away and never come for 3 months. Your kid's not getting better, right? Like, there's a reason why they're coming. And so we actually have the ability to send them workouts home via an app as well. So there's the growth of technology has allowed us the ability to then answer those issues in any way that we can, as many as we can. We'll never hit them all, but that's been probably the biggest growth I've seen from being here since day -1, as I say, and how we've listened and learned and watched technology grow, and the ability to do these things wasn't there, back when we started. And now that it is, we need to leverage that, but always keeping in mind the kids' enjoyment. They've got to love being here. They've got to continue to get better, but also mom and dad, can I get them there? Does the schedule work? Is it affordable as well? Is it worth the money I'm spending? I want to make sure this is something my kid can get into and see results, but they want to go. And that's our big priority.
Whoa, man. I think we have a lot more to talk here than what our time allows us today. And each of these topics is a freaking episode on its own. I want to ask you this. The people that want to do part of this. There is a reason why you guys make such a unique decision, unique turnaround, and of course you got to spend time educating because nobody does it. I want to ask you, what would be good resources, books, podcasts, something, events that people can go to learn more about where you're getting your knowledge? Because you are such an expert in what you do, and you're talking with such a high level of confidence. But I know you learn it from somewhere. Like, what would be, if I'm starting brand new, it says, Andre, go learn this and come back to me, I'll coach you. Is there
That's a great question. Yeah, I think step one, podcasts like this where you're listening to other owners who've done it before. Not just a plug for you, but honestly for a lot, for anyone else in this industry. Like, go, if you're looking to be an owner, if you are an owner and you're struggling, there's a lot of availability to just to absorb that. I live 30 miles away, so it's an hour or 30-minute drive, depending on traffic out here in Scottsdale. And a lot of time I spend listening to either podcasts or sermons for myself or whatever, but like taking advantage of that time to help continue to grow and learn. And there's a handful of them too, but they're littered everywhere. So I'd start with that and what you can do as a business owner or even a trainer. There's a lot of people who give a lot of free content out there that just helps you see, like, man, that's a great idea. Like I said earlier, I listened to Chaz's piece too. I love a lot of what he talked about. And I was like, yep, we do that too. Or no, we don't do that very well. That can help as well. And so appreciate all of you guys who are listening, who put out content. That's incredible. And keep doing it. And that's something that has been on my board for a while to want to do some of and haven't dove into. So maybe I can get on the train as well. But step one is that. And then number two, I had some advice from just one of our owners in Redline who's been, a very successful businessman for a long time. And he just said, find yourself a mentor who's outside of the brand. I've been in the brand literally my whole career. Since the day I left baseball, I did my internship. So I don't know much about other brands other than Redline. It's been my experience. So I sought out just a business mentorship coach and spent a year with his whole group and went to, a couple of their event stuff too, just to be physically around other owners and understanding what they do and why they do it. And that helped me frame up, man, we're doing some things really well, but I never thought about this, and how do I get better really as an owner? I was supporting a lot of owners throughout the years, but for myself, diving into growing something as a legacy for my family and stuff as well, making a difference for kids. I knew the operations side, but even the nuances around the finances and even the budgeting details and the planning and the future planning, I'm very good in the moment and reacting, but I need to be a better planner. So I just looked at myself thinking, what do I need to grow? And then having some humility to say, someone else is doing it better than I am. Let's go seek that out to grow. So I would say two things to answer your question. Number one, absorb the free content. Spend time doing some of that personal growth. And second of all, connect with somebody who's in the brand, in the industry, in the genre that you are in or where you want to be. They say don't dress for the job you had, dress for the job you want, right? So find somebody who is doing what you want to do and actually spend time. You'd be shocked at how many people say yes. One of the early mentors I spent a lot of time with when I was in Colorado Springs, I mentioned, I'd love to have lunch with you once in a while and just to connect and see how you grow. He said, I would love to do that too, but I have one rule. I said, what's that? He goes, I'll never invite you, but I'll never say no. And I was like, you dirty dog. Okay, fair. Because I was still a young guy. I was like, well, then I'll text you, Jeff, and I'll find out, can we have lunch now, whatever. And he always said yes. He was always so gracious of his time. But I appreciated that. And I've said that to some younger people too, and I'll do more of it. So you got to be proactive is what I'm saying. You've got to be able to seek it out and ask questions. And you'd be shocked at how many people say, I'd love to spend time with you and give some advice because they were once in your shoes as well.
And I got to tell you, thanks to you as well. You're contributing incredible content here. You're sharing free advices. You're sharing your enterprise core. You are motivating me, motivating community, motivating everybody else to do these things like Chaz did and his whack moments and cool things and other speakers that I have. It's like incredible. Guys, this is no extra time. We call it net time. You are driving. Put your car as a university on wheels. Plug that. Like you are in the car stuck, even if it's 10 minutes. That's 100 minutes a freaking week. That's 400 minutes a month. That's at least 2 audiobooks a month if you want to get it. That is 24 books a year. Did you read 24 books a week? But you did drive 10 minutes a day at least. We all do.
And it wasn't, honestly, for me, it wasn't even like, I got a lot of brand new ideas that were impactful. A lot of it was just reaffirming some things that we're doing and make sure we continue to do that, right? So, and then over time, something comes up and go, man, I remember hearing that 2 years ago. Now it applies. Okay, cool. So it does help as well. You never know what's going to be implanted in your brain.
And sometimes it's just one sentence, one line, one word, one SOP you can add to change it. And I like this mentorship. I always had mentors. I still have them today. I have multiple mentors, from my physical mentorship, my personal trainers, to my coaching, my mental, even my spiritual. Like, you gotta do it. This is the life of fulfillment. You are the mentor to those kids. You're teaching them. You have more responsibility to grow because you have to be a bigger, better person for people you coach, either family, friends, or people you lead.
Yeah, and last piece I'd say is, some of the extra time. One thing that helped me grow in the last 4 years is joining the elder board in my church, and just a group of men around that. I was like, I am so unprepared or uncalled to do this and whatever, but just to be in that environment, it's not even a lot of time commitment, but just the responsibility that's with it too, and just challenging for me. That was probably the most uncomfortable I've felt, was to sit in that environment, in that room, and it's helped me grow personally as well too. So there may be opportunities like that to serve on a community board or at your church or whatever too, and give back in some way that it does takes away some family time, but at the same time it's pouring into another community type of event too. So it took me a while to do anything like that, and I'm glad that I did, and something I encourage others to do.
Love it, man. Love it. And another episode just on that topic about how much that value brings to the community and the world around you. And respect as well. So respect is not gained, it's earned. Let me tell you, Brad, this was such an incredible experience. I love it. We cover so many topics. For you guys, just a quick reminder, we started with a fun, what it really creates fun experience, music, joy, that experience that creates emotional drive for people that really motivates them to be the best. Of course, together with KPIs, performance metrics, making athletes the best they can be. But also another part that's made me not directly measurable, but it's internal motivation through character development program. It's such a signature of motivating, driving, and making this proud moments, memories maybe for a lifetime of the kids. And as well, for CEOs, CMOs, leadership of the brands, are you guys part of the owning these locations? Maybe if you're a founding member, you are the owner, but does your leadership team have the experience? Because believe is just a poor substitute for experience. Unless you experience it, you don't know it. Right? It's different roles.
So
and I love that patent pending flex membership. Oof. Guys, rewind and listen again. Paying weekly, being adjusted every week, and oh my God. So, and then again, you can't attend, send workout at home. Don't miss the opportunity to really participate, no matter where you are. Love everything what we covered today, and there's a lot more to be here. Guys, I wanna, on your behalf of the community, say thank you, Brad, for such a wonderful conversation today. You're pure gold for this community and your brand. I believe they are so blessed to have you there. And for you guys who are coming on, listening to this, you know what to do. Share this with your team, with your executives, with your members. Share this with people who are struggling or people who are doing great and you want to give them a gift to make it even better. Click, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next episode. Brad, thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
If you are a gym owner looking to become a top-rated gym in your area, visit topratedgym.com and grab our free 30-day reputation boost. That's topratedgym.com. I'll add it to the show notes for you. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Stay strong, stay motivated, and keep pushing your gym to the top. Until next time, this is Andre signing off.